Let go of negative stress, y'all. Did we make ourselves clear? Did we make ourselves clear? Get support from our peers so we can come through your ears. Yes, we gonna make ourselves clear. You gotta release stress. Yes, just make yourself clear. Can't lose control. We got to make yourself clear. There's always a come for the storm, gotta go get baptized in it. Wait a minute, y'all, got to make ourselves clear. Ain't no river, we here. Get it. And as usual, somebody will call me. You got to make yourself clear. We got to make myself clear. It's been a hell of a year. We can make ourselves clear. Come on in, y'all.
I see y'all coming in the room. Come on.
Gather around. Here come one, come all.
All right. Shouts out to Elizabeth. Hey, sis.
Oh, sis up in the building.
Sis in the building.
I see y'all. The people were the city is windy. You know what I'm saying? Midwest.
Chicago's is in the house officially. Good evening and welcome back to Did We Make Ourselves Clear, the podcast that clarifies the subject matters of love, life, and everything in between. I am your host, River.
And I am KP, you know me. And today we're pleased to welcome to the show Miss April Cayce, the founder of Rebound 911. Rebound 911 is committed to reducing toxic stress syndrome as an occupational hazard for first responders by providing education, peer support, and mental wellness resources, utilizing a trauma-informed approach. Welcome to the show, April. And why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you for having me.
For sure.
I'm a native St. Louisan, a county brownie girl.
Hey.
Girl.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay.
And, one that loves my community and looking to work to make a difference.
That's real.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, April. A quick reminder for those who are out there watching, you can leave a message or a question for April and we'll get back to you. In the meantime, I have a question for you, April. What inspired you to start a nonprofit working with first responders? What happened with that?
Well, as being in and around law enforcement for the past 20 years, I happened to, notice that, we suffered from, a lot of things that were impacting our personal and professional lives, which also impacted how we interacted with the community. Right. So in April of 2015, I had a friend of mine by the name of Detective Sergeant Brett Doolittle of Kansas City, Kansas Police Department, who died by suicide in April of 2015.
Rest in peace.
Brett was one of the few who actually left a note, and in that note, it in part stated that this job as being a police officer, because he was a 14-year veteran at the time, it played an impact in sort of what was going on with him and the decision that he had made. That he felt like his best option was to end his life. So 8 months later, another officer that I knew also died by suicide. And so it was at that point that I felt like something had needed to be done. Right. I didn't know what. I wasn't a clinician. I wasn't a counselor. Right. But I felt that, I put some things together and start getting some people together. We could implement something that would at least have a start.
No, that's crucial. Cause could you tell me who helped you to do that? Like you say, put some people together. Who are like the leadership people with Rebound 911?
Well, pretty much we're all either active, retired, or displaced first responders.
Okay.
So we service not just police, but we also service, fire department, EMS, dispatchers, Department of Corrections, and military.
Oh, wow.
So we have a wide range,
Awesome.
of population that we cover. But most of our leadership is law enforcement. So we have, an active sergeant, a retired sergeant, a retired officer.
So y'all still have like a hierarchy. What are like the roles of some of your constituents?
So I'm the founder and president.
Okay.
And our vice president is a retired officer named Macy Schwartz from St. Louis City.
Okay.
Our secretary and our treasurer are non-law enforcement, but our director of training is an active sergeant with St. Louis City Police Department, and our director of chaplain services is a retired veteran from St. Louis County who transitioned into being a chaplain after he retired from the police department.
That's commendable. Very commendable.
We're all just kind of
doing
what we need to do.
It almost sounds like you surrounded by a bunch of veterans, and in light of our recent Veterans Day, we just want to thank all of y'all as well. Just me personally to you as a first responder, because I feel like it's just like going to be in active duty. It's a part of armed forces.
And we are paramilitary occupation,
right.
And in fact, quite a few of our members, part of our team are either active military still,
right.
Or have retired. But it still kind of is a blended line. So
goons on reserve.
Right, exactly.
No doubt.
Well, real quick, your material talks about ending stigma. Can you explain exactly how that works with your nonprofit? I mean, what are you doing to end the stigma of, I guess, mental health?
So one of the main things that we're doing is changing the verbiage or language that's used. So as an example of that, you hear a lot of people will say a person committed suicide. And typically when you hear the word committed, what do you think? Crime, exactly. Right. Yeah. And so, suicide is not a crime.
Right.
And so to try to remove that thought process behind it, that stigma is, again, changing the word that we use to even bring up and discuss the topic. Right. So that's one of the things that we do. The other is, for example, is everyone's heard of PTSD, post-traumatic stress syndrome, or disorder.
Oh boy, don't we?
Right. In which many people suffer from it.
Yes.
So not just our military, not just our police, but average everyday
social
citizens.
service workers.
Yes.
We get it.
Exactly. Nurses and everybody just
essential, all the essentials.
Exactly. Have been exposed and or have a touch of PTSD.
Yeah.
Right.
And hell, with COVID, everybody has.
Right.
No
exactly.
doubt.
Right.
But one of the things that we do work to change is, I personally do not look at it as a disorder. I look at it as an injury. So typically when someone says they get hurt, everyone's compassionate and they feel bad and they want to help. Right. But if you say disorder, people are kind of like, oh wait, should I be safe around this person? Should I be nervous?
Apprehension.
Should I avoid them? Yeah. So again, part of changing that stigma is to change the language that we're using.
That's right.
So that people have a more open mind about it and feel safer and still feel more comfortable in talking about it and even inquiring about it. So
who have you been able to partner with in order to help, bring more awareness?
One of the organizations that we do partner with is Public Safety Ministries. It's another nonprofit who is mainly first responders, and all of their team has become our pastors of some religious denomination. So when we have crisis situations or trainings or different events, we will collaborate together so that we can potentially, when definitely needed or when requested, that we can provide spiritual guidance to individuals when they feel like that's a piece of what will help to them to heal and to cope with whatever's going on.
Well, I was peeping in your mission statement. You were speaking kind of like peer support. What type of peer support does Rebound 911 offer, and who do you go to? Are you like making partnerships with different folks to kind of do this impactful work that you guys are doing?
In part, yes. Our peer support / family support is provided either in person, virtually. we also have responded to a scene if requested.
Right.
So, with us, it is a matter of just being there to show that there is someone who identifies and understand what they're experiencing, and whether it's just to be an ear to listen, a shoulder to cry on, or if in the midst of this, discussion with this individual, we feel like additional professional services are needed, we can then get them referrals set up for them to obtain those services that are beyond our scope.
Okay.
So we do partner with quite a few mental health professionals in different organizations.
Awesome.
Like one of its kids is called Kids in the Middle, which is a local St. Louis nonprofit.
Kids in the Middle?
Kids in the Middle.
I like that.
We do partner with them, and they basically deal with families when there's a separation or a divorce, and they are recognized by our family court system, and to deal with helping the children as well as the parents to learn how to cope with this change and massive change in life.
It's trauma.
It's trauma.
Right. Because you guys talked about having trauma-informed intentions in the way you kind of addressing these things. So I think that's really great to be trained in trauma-informed listening.
Right. So we want to get them the services that they need because this is a traumatic experience, and wanting them to be able to learn healthy coping mechanisms, so that the parents can learn how to co-parent correctly,
right?
Because we all know we've all experienced the drama of divorce or separation, and it truly impacts our children, which then, if not handled properly, it affects them as adults.
Right.
So trying to stop the cycle.
Break the chains.
I understand that you're also bringing this type of information into the schools.
With schools, we tend to partner, like when they're doing different events, we'll come and talk about police interactions, and kind of open the door in a non-invasive way to have the candid, direct conversations with our law enforcement, so that the staff and administration of the school and also the students can really kind of express what they like, what they don't like, what they're afraid of, what concerns them, as well as the police, so we can get an understanding from each other as to really what each other's concerns, needs, wants, and hopefully move forward from there so that we can reduce the number of negative interactions that we have with the police.
How's the Rona affected the school situation? Because I know a lot of schools are doing strictly virtual. Some are like doing partial school days. How are you guys impacted the Rebound? That Rona.
Rona needs to go away.
Concur.
I think Rona is causing trauma to all of us.
Right.
But it has not necessarily impacted our peer and family support. We still are providing it. Now for minor situations, we are trying to stay on the do telephone or virtual. But if it is a major or critical incident, we will respond in person. So we have not cut that out. We just, obviously take the necessary precautions when we're having to be interacting, face to face with people. But it has impacted our ability to train. So some of the training classes that we had scheduled, we have canceled them.
You guys haven't thought to go virtual with it?
Well, with some of the classes, the content is very deep. And so when we have, in our past, have done these classes in person, there's sometimes, because of the sensitivity of the information and things that are coming out, people will have epiphanies, or they will recognize the person on the screen is them. And so we've had people who have become very emotional and sort of broke down. So that's uncontrolled.
Right.
So for me, because when generally we have these classes, we also have our paraprofessionals that are there that can take and work with this person to get them figure out what's going on and get them back on track. Versus if they're virtual, I can't get to them. And I may not know where they are. So if it becomes a critical situation, I don't want, to have that potential for that to happen.
That's liability. I mean, it's all types of red flags.
I just chose not to train until we get to a place where we can come back in person again.
And I was kind of asking because me working in social service, I kind of see that about virtual platforms. It throws everything up as far as the intimacy and the way you're able to reach someone and physically touch them. And I think that's great that people can understand, like yourself, that some things can't be done on a virtual platform.
Right. I just don't think they're as effective. And then a lot of our training, we are very interactive in doing, assignments and different work group things. And so it's a little difficult to do those virtually because, not everybody is going to do the exercise. Whereas if you're in person, you can see whether they're writing down or, when you're having conversation, they're engaged.
That's right.
yeah, we just opted to just wait until we can go back to, now if someone were to ask us to come and do, to do a training,
Right.
then and we would,
Mhm.
but we're just kind of like everybody else, kind of holding off until we can safely gather again.
It was crazy times.
Well, fundraising is a big thing for nonprofits. Tell us about
Lifeblood.
the 2020 Battle of the Badges chili cook-off. I believe that's what you got coming up.
The Battle of the Badges.
Well, the
Like
Battle
when
of
you
the
said
Badges
that.
actually has to be moved to April of 2021.
Okay.
And that was in part because of our recent increase in COVID numbers. Many departments have begun to put mandates down towards the end of last week that they could not participate in public events. So by our contestants being first responders in his Battle of the Badges, we decided to move that into April of 2021. Hopefully by then things will have calmed down. But we did replace this event with a washers tournament. But we may have to do another alignment because if the restrictions that I've understood that may be coming down today or tomorrow may cause us to have to switch that too.
So when is the washers tournament? What day is that supposed to happen?
So the washers tournament is supposed to be on Sunday, November 22nd at Shrewsbury Bowling Alley, starting at 11. It's for a max of 35 teams, two-person teams. The entry fee is $40. There will be cash prizes for the top 3 winners, and then we will also have 50-50 raffle and silent auction items.
We should sponsor somebody, man.
Right?
That would be nice. That would be
and
really
it is
nice.
a family friendly.
Tunes in the most.
It is a family friendly event. So there is also the bowling alleys also graciously provided us to have bowling for $5 unlimited, which to include shoe rental during that time, so the kids and adults alike can have some other fun if they're not into playing the washers.
Right.
But we are also looking to, in the event if that cannot happen, if we do have restrictions, we are currently researching how to maybe move some things, at least move the raffle and silent auction things online.
Right.
But
is that going to affect the baskets for badges?
The basket for badges, no. But real quickly before I forget, the washers tournament is set to benefit 3 local first responders. One is a St. Louis City officer, Officer Bailey. He was shot along with our fallen officer Tamarius Bohannon. So he's still recovering from his injury. And then we have
to you, bro.
St. Louis County Detective Woodall. He had to end up recently have a heart transplant.
Wow.
So
praying, man.
So he's a childhood cancer survivor. And what they recently obviously found out was that the therapy that he was receiving over time apparently was attacking his heart. So at 42, normal, very healthy man.
42.
Oh wow.
Very healthy. He does not have high blood pressure, not obese, not overweight, does not have any chronic illnesses. Wasn't feeling well, went to the doctor or went to the hospital or whatever, and they diagnosed him with stage 4 heart failure. So he was immediately admitted, put on the heart transplant list. Unfortunately, someone obviously has to pass in order for you to get the organ, but he was on the wait list for only 16 days.
Oh, wow.
So his recovery is going to be very lengthy and costly. Because if anybody knows with organ transplants or even just general procedures these days, his bills are in the millions. So, and our last,
and that's nothing to live. So more power to him.
Right.
And he's a fighter. He's an amazing guy.
Yeah, it sounds like.
And then our last person that's due to benefit from this is Liz Smith. She's a St. Louis City paramedic who contracted a virus tending to a patient. So she's currently out, has been out since April of this year. So
that's all too often these days.
Yeah. So most of our fund, because with COVID, we canceled all of our organizational fundraisers. But we did commit to, if there was a first responder that was in need, we would put on a fundraiser as long as we were legally able to do so.
Right.
So we have done several this year. COVID has impacted our fundraising abilities.
It's impacted all of us.
So tell us about the badges for baskets.
The badges for baskets, we were collecting, us along with another organization called St. Louis Police Supporters United, we were collecting different items to put baskets together to
Yeah.
deliver to various police departments.
Yeah.
And in those we collect, chapstick,
Yeah.
hot chocolate, beef jerky, the
Miscellaneous,
the healthy fruit bars,
rabbit food.
Rabbit food,
Yeah, you got it.
nuts, different things
I
that
got
they
you.
can keep in the cars to package, especially when it gets cold.
Mhm.
Coffee, different things.
Non-perishables.
Yeah,
and all those
non-perishable,
good items.
peppermints,
Yeah, I get
Halloween
it.
candy, because we were asking for people
Yeah.
if you had extra Halloween candy.
Yeah.
So how do people get involved?
Well, this one we actually are assembling the baskets on this Saturday.
Okay.
So most likely at this point, we do have a drop-off location, but if they're not able to do it, then we will definitely be promoting this because it's an annual thing that we do.
Okay.
But next year I have requested that we include our firefighters and our EMS.
Yeah, they
dispatchers.
kick butt though, man.
Yeah, because for the past 2 years, we've only done the baskets for the police departments. Last year, we were able to provide, I think, 65 baskets to 65 different departments, and this year our goal is 80. So Saturday, I'll find out whether we hit that goal.
Man, much respect to the first responders, especially fire department, because I just witnessed a fire recently in the city of St. Louis, and it was amazing to see how they responded and how they got that fire under wraps. So it's a dangerous job, a dirty job, but salute to all y'all because y'all took it.
Yeah, I think they're crazy for running into a building on fire.
Man.
But then they think we're crazy for running at bullets. So it takes
it's a fair trade-off.
Yeah, it's a fair trade-off,
right? All fair.
Well, we definitely want to make sure that we get some volunteers. So I'm going to tell us your Instagram and your Facebook handles so that I can post those up for people who might want to get involved eventually in some sort of way.
Our Instagram is at Rebound 911 STL. Our Twitter is at Rebound 911 STL, and our Facebook is at Rebound 911.
All right. So if anybody out there that wants to get involved with Rebound 911, they're always looking for volunteers. And as you heard, she's always looking for somebody to help put baskets together this Saturday.
Need the time, the talent, and your treasure, whatever you can bring.
So whatever you can bring.
Bring the resources.
Please. Yes. So,
hey man, it sounds like it's about that time.
It's about that time. Well, thank you for joining us today, April. Is there anything you want to close out on just to make sure that people know more about, if they need to know more about Rebound or how they can get involved with it?
Drive it on.
Definitely. We're on. We have our website at rebound911.org. And again, we're on all social media platforms. So, please check us out, like our page, follow our website. You can see where we have, where we post for different events and, things that we have going on, or when we are doing community engaged events. If you have something you would like us to attend, please, by all means, let us know. And you can contact us by phone, email, text, Facebook Messenger, smoke signal,
SOS,
any way you can. But one thing I would like to say is thank you to all of our community members who have supported us since we began in 2017. For your, donations, whether it was monetary or in-kind service, or you donated an item for us to be able to raffle or silent auction off, or you connected us with a networking resource that has assisted in something that we've needed. So thank you. Without the community, we wouldn't be able to continue doing what we do.
And that's the same reason we're here.
Yes, exactly. So we want to thank everybody that actually made some comments. I want to shout out Lisa and Tay. We got Yummy D in the house, Amina, and Eve's Nectar. All of you who came in and showed out for our guests, we want to thank you. And again, thank you, April, for coming. For our viewers out there, please tune in for Thursday of next week, November 19th at 6:30 p.m. We have Real Talk with a discussion with an actor, model, and filmmaker, Zach Clark. So thank you for tuning in.
And I know the Lord ain't brought us this far just to drop us off here. Did we make ourselves clear? We out of here.
Good night, guys.
Love y'all.
That was fun.